Well, it still works.
West up,
So is this your first go? Yes. How's it going?
really good.
Good. Enjoy it.
How are you? Amazing. Things are well. Good. Good. Yeah, it was a great team. I was executive staff. Thank you very much. We're in Freiburg. No time. You're not asking for cash.
The next section was a little deeper, like placards and
Yeah, so as soon as we were done, we walked downtown and
I walked around, I didn't go over here. It was great.
For the last 2 years, we've been working so we're all the letters are going to be off.
Joseph, can I take you out?
In the future, we can take ones from you.
I didn't order this, I ordered it again. I didn't have any more box
Yeah, well, it was funny when I read the file. But I made a few calls. Real swear. I did find out where it is.
Utilize the process for
So this information briefs.
and the reason why we do this is just
What's that?
Good morning, everyone. Good to see everybody here on time, bright and early. We appreciate it. I hope everyone brought their long-range muskets. We're all facing each other like so. So today's going to be a little different than some of the meetings that we have. I hope you've had an opportunity to look over the agenda. And Reeve Shepherd and myself spoke, and I may have to leave a little early, so I'd like to refer her to chair, if that's still acceptable. Thank you, I appreciate that. And first off, we're just going to do some introductions, and then we'll have a group photo, and we can get down to business. How's that sound? Tim, why don't we start with you? Just work your way around, and everybody knows.
Good morning, Tim Tibbetts, County Manager, Lacombe County.
Alan Wilson, Division 6, Lacombe County.
Wayne West, Division 4, Lacombe County.
David Todd, Counselor Division 7.
Ken Lee, Division 5, Lacombe County.
Don Iron, Counselor, Division 1, Deputy Lead.
Barb Shepherd, Division 3, and
Matthew Gowdy of the City of Lacombe, CAO. Chris Ross, City Council.
Cora Cookstrap, City Councilor.
Bruce Hart, City Council.
Grant Creasy, Mayor.
Scott Ellis, City Council.
Talia Gibbs, City Councilor.
Denise Balbono, Legislative Coordinator, City of Lacombe.
Thanks, everyone. So we want to start out with this photo, do we? So this is a masked thing?
Leave it up to Todd to,
That would be my request, George.
yeah.
That would be your wish.
My request that everyone wears a mask. I was hoping to outside by the Christmas tree there in front of City Hall.
Always the same.
She may have texted me,
We did give it 3 months.
No, I wouldn't say that drunk. Tipsy every night is fine. As you know, I don't
and the
think
name either came, I'm like, okay, my
trying to make sure.
I can see stuff, I see stuff really far away, so.
No, I was a great bike rider. I really, so. I think so. First,
Now we're just all the time.
She's Division. No, she.
I knew there was two
Oh, yeah, Brenda's not here.
I was trying to look for
Yeah.
I'm writing articles in there. Thank you.
and on the range, and so he went up to the shop.
Oh, sorry.
Larry's upset. I don't get over it.
I just don't want
I was circulating to this afternoon.
They went to one
Morning, Ruben. How are you? Good. I didn't realize there was a customer. I couldn't wear the driver's license.
So everyone, please bear with us while we get through this two council thing. We've got a special meeting to call to order here. So it is 9:10. Has everyone had an opportunity? Actually, your job right there.
So, I don't know if the mic is on. I just wanted to be sure everyone can hear. I think sometimes it's difficult when you got plexiglass. So, I'd like to call the special meeting to order for our council. We have just called the special meeting to order for this council. You have the agenda in front of you. Are there any additions to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Mayor Creasy, all in favor? That's unanimous. Okay.
I didn't see that sheet. I'm sorry about that.
Apologize, I'm not able to see that agenda very well, so. Okay, so we're meeting today. I feel like we're setting new ground. First opportunity that we had to hear from a couple of organizations within our joint communities that are making presentations for our consideration for funding. So I'd like to turn the time over to our first presenters, the Lacombe Athletic Park Association. We have Jay Adamson, Jason Lund, and I am not seeing Darren. Is he not coming today? Okay. So Jason and Jay, if you'd like to just proceed to make your presentation, please go ahead.
Hello everybody, so I am Jay Adamson. I'm the current chair of the Lacombe Athletic Park Association. I've been on the board now for, this will be year 5 for me. I've been the chair the past 2 years. And with me today is Jason Lund. He is our secretary treasurer. And he's been on the board for a long time. I mean, he's done a lot of great things with the Lacombe Athletic Park. Darren Burke, who is our past chair, sends his regrets. He works at the ME Global plant, and unfortunately texted me about 10 o'clock last night. It's some issues going on at the plant, and he said, I don't think I can attend the meeting tomorrow morning. So, unfortunately, he's not here. Thank you for coming together to meet and to hear our presentation and to hear our ask. We're excited at Lacombe Athletic Park and within our association and for the residents of the city of Lacombe and the residents of Lacombe County that with our expansion plans and with our overall ideas that we have, we've already been able to carry out phase 1 of expansion. So if you can scroll through the next slide, phase 1 of expansion was our field house. And so hopefully many of you have been able to see the outside. Maybe if you're involved with high school football and home minor football, you've been able to see the inside. I apologize that we did have to cancel our grand opening this fall. We just felt at that time and working with our major sponsor, ME Global, that we just could not carry out the event the way that we wanted to, so we had pushed it to the spring. And again, we'll look forward to having you all there. But phase 1, the field house, in a pandemic, we were able to complete expansion. And we are very excited about that. Continuing on, please. So the completed building, again, it's pretty much we doubled it in size. If you look from the front of the building, there's a walkway in between attaching the 2 buildings, and it is completely and fully accessible to anybody, which we are really excited about. Continue on. A big thing. So when I first joined the board, we came together with many different community organizations, community partners, community sponsors, and kind of the question we had was, what's next for Lacombe Athletic Park? Well, one of the things we heard loud and clear was your bathrooms at that facility, for lack of better words, they suck. So there's long lineups, and people are standing out there, especially maybe if you're watching football in November, You're standing in the cold, this just was not ideal, and nobody wants to use a cold porta potty when it's freezing outside. So, first thing we heard, and what we realized we needed to do was that we needed to add additional bathroom space. And with phase 1 of expansion, we were able to complete that. We've added stalls and sinks, we've added change tables to both the male and the female bathrooms. So again, we will never hopefully have those lineups again. And we've had some larger events at the facility this fall, and we have not, from our building manager, have not heard where lineups have been going over the door. Continue on, please. Another issue that we were running in as our field house was being heavily booked. And again, it's not just, it's great that we have increased use for a great price for many of our local residents within Central Alberta, but we were seeing increased use from residents all over Alberta, from cities of Edmonton and Calgary, meeting in the middle. The demand on our facility was increasing, and with the dressing room size, we were unable to meet those demands. And so, to highlight, a few years ago, we hosted the high school provincial football championships, and as a result, we had to have some teams change actually within the high school. So we thought, if we're adding bathrooms, why don't we add more change rooms? We were able to add 2 large change rooms, and they were fully used this fall, which was great. Next slide, please. So I apologize for the size of the writing. Again, with the expansion of the field house and adding the dressing rooms, adding the bathrooms, we again also, as I mentioned, wanted to make the building fully accessible to anyone. So we added, there's an elevator within the building. Jason worked, with Spot Builders, who were the construction crew who built the building for us. And so anybody can access anywhere within the expanded field house. We've added more in relation to the viewing tower. We expanded the size of it. So again, we have more viewing space for anybody who wants to come if they want to get out of the cold. We were cognizant of phase 2 of our expansion, which I'll get into here in relation to our track and field facility. So we were able to run conduit and be considering a timing booth and timing box that we need. So that is roughed into the building at this time. And so we are just really happy that again, within a pandemic, we were able to carry out this expansion. And again, as community partners of ours, we thank you for your support at this time. So the athletic park, as you can see, is a $6.5 million recreational asset for the community. So it was $4.5 million for the initial field house and field, and $2 million for the field house expansion. So the recent $2 million expansion was done without public funds, which we were really, really excited about. So again, our major partner, ME Global, was able to donate that money to us. And within money that we have also saved within the reserves, we were able to carry out and complete phase 1 of expansion. So LAPA's mandate is to offer the park to the community at cost to encourage use and to minimize cost to Central Alberta teams. So the City of Lacombe and Lacombe County contributes, again, thank you for your contribution, but less than half of our operating costs, for which we are grateful, but then we are also, again, through the usage of our park, we're able to cover the rest of our costs and the demands that we have on at this time. So the park is of great value to the community, and without being a large cost to the community, both for capital or construction costs and operating costs, which we are very happy about and how we are able to operate. And the park is used by 30+ organizations. It's not just the high school or the coal miner football. We have soccer, we have lacrosse, we have cross-country runners, track and field runners. We had Quidditch on the park. Berman University uses it. It's used for a variety of different factors. And it's always fully booked in the busy season, specifically in the spring and the fall. And what we are really now targeting by the expansion of our facility for track and field, that we can continue the operation and bookings throughout the summertime. Next slide. So where are we going next? So we'll come back to this slide in a second because this will link to some details of our facility. But we are going, next slide please. And our plans is a fully accessible track and field facility. Now what you see right now, and I'm sure again, I've presented to City Council before in Lacombe County. And again, we have some new councilors, so But this picture here shows the what we view for the track around the football field and our jumping pits in front of the bleachers, and also our shot put area. Now what you don't see right now within this picture would be some of our other throwing events, specifically javelin and hammer throw and discus. And those would be north of the facility in the grassy field, just on the south side of the panel lake there. So we have worked with the city of Lacombe and Wolf Creek School Division, who is our other partner, to redo the lease to have that land involved in expansion of this facility, and that lease has been signed off. Next slide, please. So who will benefit from the track and field facility? Obviously, again, we're looking at youth, so the schools within Lacombe and Lacombe County will be able to book and use the track without cost, and that's how we provide the facility right now through schools during the day. It is used widely, of course, by Lacombe Composite High School, but our hopes with having a track and field facility is that with all the elementary track meets around the area, that those students, even within the county schools, you know, Bentley, Pinoka, the Rimbeys, Alex, Mecca-Glen, within Wolf Creek School Division, even beyond, that we will be able to host other events. Speaking as a high school track and field coach, students at the high school, we train a bit on the football field right now, but we drive in 2 to 3 times a week to Red Deer to train our students at this time because they have a facility. Yes, Pinoka does have a track, but it is covered in pavement for the most part, and it is not ideal. I'm proud to say, I mean, over the last few years, the highest number of kids that we send off for scholarships are for track and field. So we are encouraged, again, by what a facility can offer like this. We know that we will be able to host larger events, whether it become the area high school meet or the area zone meet. The area high schools meet, myself and Jason Petrie, who works at the high school, we have hosted that for the last few years in Red Deer at their facility, because again, they have what we need. And we are hoping that to bring that in here. And that's where we're looking at 200 plus students. Again, that is one day, but we are looking at multiple events for a variety of students in a variety of schools throughout the year. It'll also, what we're encouraged by, and what it'll do for the residents of Lacombe and for Lacombe County, that it'll provide a safe surface for community use and exercise. If you are ever able to go to the track in Red Deer, or if you've noticed in any other facility in any other city, lots of times you have other groups, whether it's mums groups, put some strollers around the track, other people just walking and running, again, because it provides a solid surface with a reduced risk for injury. And again, Lacombe has a great path system throughout it, but again, sometimes that can be wet and muddy, and this provides an area that even within adverse weather is still good footing. And we have also connected with Athletics Alberta. They visit our facility, they have viewed what we have for plans, and they're extremely excited about the future development of this facility. They see Central Alberta as an untapped resource, like a lot of major sports organizations. And they have, in relation to communication that I have with their executive director, James Rossino, they have promised to host the provincial championships at Lacombe if we are able to get this facility completed. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry. If you go back one more, just click that link, please. So, if you just scroll down, what this, as you continue to scroll down, what this page just further shares with you are some of the details of phase 1 of expansion, the field house, and then specifics of the track and field facility. So much of what we have here, and in relation to our quote, and I'll talk about numbers in a second of the facility, you know, we thank Scott Builders. They were able to provide quotes for a lot of what we will need in relation to groundwork, in relation to materials and supplies. They were able to provide us numbers, and then we've also worked with Dayon Sports and Playtech. Make sure I get their name right. Playtech Enterprises, sorry. And they are a track construction company. And so we have just talked with them a lot about what we need. So again, we're not going into this dark. We know exactly when we put this out for tender, when we put this out for, that we are ready to move forward with this, we know exactly what we need. And they know, Bayon Sports, Playtech Enterprise, they know, of course, that they would have to put in a bid, but they're more than happy to just help educate us on exactly what we need. And what we're excited about, if we are able to complete the full-fledged facility that we are looking for, this will be qualified as an IAAF track and field facility, where you can host a world championships at it. And that is our goal in the end. Would Lacombe likely get an event like that? Maybe not because of the size, but we would be able to host Alberta championships, we would be able to host possibly Canadian championships according to Alberta Athletics. And so again, we'll have another addition to an already world-class facility within the home. So what are we here asking for? This project we are looking at will be about $2.7 million. We are asking for $500,000 each from the city of Lacombe and from Lacombe County. And the reason for that $500,000 totaling $1 million is that we are hopeful with our application for the CFEP grant, large funding stream, which we have applied for this year, and we should find out any day here within December if we receive it, which would be great because that will enable us to get shovels in the ground. But part of that grant is that you have to have matching municipal dollars. Now, the city of Lacombe did provide us a letter earlier in the year saying that she would give us $500,000 should we be successful in this grant. We included that with our package. We included money that we received from ME Global. Now that money technically has been spent, but we are hopeful that we are successful on this grant. Should we not be successful, we will need, again, that commitment of that money from both councils, so we can reapply next year for that grant, which will put us a year behind on construction, but then we can eventually get shovels in the ground. We have also applied for the Canadian Community Revitalization Fund for $750,000. We actually just heard from them yesterday, not with a decision, but we've been reaching out because they do not have dates online about when we are to hear from them. And they finally just at least emailed me back and saying, we do have your application, we are still processing, thank you for this time. But at least we had a little bit of communication there. We have amped up our marketing. We have some businesses who have at this time now started to renew signage and renew sponsorship. We have an active marketing campaign, which includes field sponsorship, lane sponsorship, anything that deals with the track and field facility specifically will go to funding that project. Other marketing dollars would go to the overall facility. We are happy that we are actively planning our gala for this March again. We're running it as a restriction exemption program so we can increase numbers at the event. We have, hopefully you have your tickets already, with Lacombe 50-50, LAPA 50-50 that is going on, and that'll be ending here just before Christmas. And so we are actively pursuing this next stage. We know that we need money, we know we need dollars, and we know that we need to be an active community organization and to let people know. And so again, that's why we are here asking for $500,000 from each council. So if we are unfortunately unlucky with CFEP at this time, we will have those dollars to move forward next year and hopefully be successful with our CFEP grant and get shovels in the ground as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jay. So, does anyone have any questions from Jay or Jason? Dana?
Yes, I'm checking to see if you guys have had any uptake on some of the outliers in Lacombe County. Phil School, Alex, or I guess it's Matt. Right? Have you had them come and use the facilities?
So we do get, Grimby, they have 6-man football at this time. So we do, they come for football practice sometimes. Not, a lot of their games are booked at the facility. We do get the odd soccer game from some of those smaller schools. But right now, I would say not as much because they kind of, for what their need is, they would have maybe a soccer field. Other than Grimby, nobody else actually likes football too. But we know, I've talked with many of them, I've talked with Steve Lush at Bentley. They would use the facility. If we had an actual track and field facility where we could provide, they would do it because again, they're like our students in the back of the school. Sometimes, they're just running on the ground, and the same thing for them. They have some students that will take it to the next level, and if they can train on a facility that has the proper footing and the proper training area, they would use it.
So, I guess is one issue, so once you get the track done, I'm assuming there would be further uptake from the rural municipalities that are on the outlying edges of Macomb County. Grimby's in Milford County.
Oh,
So they're not
yes,
supplying
sorry,
any
thank you.
So they're not supplying anything, and maybe that might be a consideration.
Yeah.
If some of their municipalities are supplying. But I don't know if you guys would market to the schools in Macomb County, and if busing is an issue for, does Wolf Creek provide busing for events onto the track field, or will they?
That's a great question. We would market it. I know in communication with the elementary schools and such here to have a facility like that, they would host their annual days here. But as for the surrounding schools and for transportation, yes, transportation is a concern. I can speak to that as a high school principal right now, and the cost that it has. And it's something that we do have to consider. I do not have a good answer for you right now, but I know, so currently I'm the principal at Preston School. If I have the ability to have an area like this, I would probably access it if I could, because again, I think it's just a great facility to provide for students. If we can provide a resource like that, then again, I know Preston is in Milton County, but it's my hope that again, all Wolf Creek students, and specifically the residents, that they will be able to use it, and we will be able to find the means to make sure to get them there.
Well, and I guess just further to that point, if that's okay, would it be fair to talk to Benilde County if they're going to be utilizing this as well, if their citizens are?
That's probably wise, yeah. Again, I can't speak to all their citizens. I'm speaking more, I guess, as Wolf Creek School Division as a partner of the park, so including all of their students. But as we continue to move forward, we definitely, probably even Blackfall students would probably, again, just like, we would probably be utilizing this. So,
Thank you.
Tim?
Yeah, just a bit of a follow-up to Dana's question. In one of your slides, G, you mentioned that all schools within the city of Lacombe and Lacombe County would be able to use or access the park at no cost. What about the other school jurisdictions? And I'm thinking Star Catholic as well as Lacombe Christian schools.
So right now we have an agreement with Wolf Creek School Division during school hours that facility is provided at no cost. We do not have that agreement, but again, we want this to be accessible to youth. So I know Lacombe Christian School has booked the facility for high school soccer games. And they are charged like a regular user then at that time. But through the day, they have used the facility as well, and that's where we actually have not charged them, but they are in communication with Lacombe Council High School just to make sure there's no booking conflicts.
Thank you, Chairperson. I guess maybe just a suggestion. I guess previously I was on the record. We follow tracking where residents participated within the city of recreation facilities, so you have that information. So all due respect, like there's many residents, rural residents that are attending schools within the home that are still rural residents participating in city facilities. So although I strongly encourage Alice, Blackfalls, Bethany, and so forth, but this is kind of the hub that still there's a significant percentage of students that are within the outlying area of rural, and I think possibly for information for a presentation presentations to, if you could, would be to track that, because it is quite useful as a reference for the county for information, as we have done with from the rec department within the city, as tracking, for example, you said the swimming pool, for example, in the past, right? So, also 2 years ago, Culture and Harvest, one of the provincial members here, when we were with their MLAs and so forth, was from, went through the notes of a lot of individuals went through our football program, has went through the U of A and scholarships that's done exceptionally well because of our program over the last 10, 15 years. That's another upsell, because, you know, you're very involved in that youth life, but also as an advantage to scholarship. So that's another upsell to the presentation that I think would be a benefit, that, you know, you change youth's life to get that scholarship, right? So it's just from the outside in, you hear that information, but sometimes it would be added to your presentation, that how it's been such a positive effect within the community and loving youth's lives.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
How many events in the last 12 months has this thing been used for? I know with COVID, the stats are also not correct, but to give us a little bit of an idea.
So this past spring, usage of the facility was a little lower because, not that we weren't open to provide, I mean, the basketball courts were heavily used that we have at the facility. I mean, we didn't have just general people using the facility, because again, throughout the day when it's not approaching, it's open to the public, it's used. In the spring, many different associations were not allowing their organizations at that time. So I mean, some of the minor football and such were not allowed, but so our numbers were quite low in relation to bookings for that reason. However, within the fall here, as bookings have been allowed to increase, we've been fully booked through minor football, high school football, a lot of Settlers Field in Red Deer. When they opened that facility, we saw a little bit of a downtick in relation to usage. However, we see many of those users who are using our facility, they're starting to come back, because we also provide a facility, a high caliber facility, just like they have, but our cost is, it's easier for them to book our facility in relation to what the price is. They're charging an astronomical amount, and so many of those organizations are starting to come back. You know, Red Deer, high school football, they're hosting, a lot of the times they're actually trying to host their games here now because of the cost, and they do not get a break within the city of Red Deer.
Dana?
Well, I'm remiss in saying thank you to you guys as volunteers. And what you guys have done as a group of volunteers is amazing. And thank you for all the time and effort that you put into it and the benefit that you provide to the community.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions, Carl?
Thank you. So thank you, Mr. Timmons, for bringing up that excellent question. And anybody who knows me, my background is with the Christian schools. So, what does Wolf Creek School Division, they gave you the land, or what is your agreement with Wolf Creek School Division that those students would be able to use it for free, but the Christian schools would have to pay a user fee?
During the school hours, the Christian school never got charged. During the school hours, it's the same thing as Wolf Creek.
So
it's just during school hours.
Yeah, we don't have an official agreement with the Christian schools, but we do not charge them during hours. We just ask that, they communicate with the Wolf Creek schools. So the land had belonged to Wolf Creek.
Right.
And so the head lease now is between Wolf Creek and the city of Lacombe.
Right.
And so, and then there's a sublease between the city of Lacombe and the Lacombe Athletic Park Association as the managers of that facility. And so part of that lease agreement, though, is that the students of Wolf Creek School Division get to use that facility during school hours.
But in the evening, Wolf Creek School?
Yeah, and it should not say Wolf Creek School Division, but the Lacombe Thompson High School, the minor football, and the Bucks are preferred users. They get a preferred user rate, so it's a cheaper rate. And then we also have agreements with them where, like the Bucks work our gala, which contributes to their rate. The Lacombe Thompson High School students, they do different work in the facility, which contributes to their rate. And then they get certain percentages of the gate and such in concession when they come in. but they are charged at an amount during the evenings.
John?
Good morning. Anytime we've met with you folks, I've been very impressed with your leadership. Can you just briefly outline the makeup of your board and the volunteer base that you have?
Yes, so we, 12 board members. Sorry, 12 board members, I believe, right now. Again, so we have, at this time, I also have Diane Dana, who is also, she's our marketing director. So she works at Lacombe Council High School. Myself, we have Brian Ross, who is also a teacher at the high school, but the high school football coach. Jason Munn, again, community member. We have Darren Berg, who is our past president, who works for ME Global, and they get an automatic position on our board, and so he is the one, but he's been part of the association for quite a few years now. We have members who are part of the Bucks football team. We have our vice chair, Greg Delazay. He's actually works for Scott Builders, and again, they've been just a large partner in the past. Don Gustafson, our administrative assistant, I'm sure everybody knows Don, but he was a teacher at the high school for years, and in his retirement, he's continued to work for our facility, and his vast knowledge just helps us out greatly. Gary McDonald, again, is a community member right now, but a retired teacher from the high school. Taylor Waldbauer is a community member who works for Lacombe Ford, who is a big sponsor and partner of our facility. Daryl Erickson. Daryl Erickson, he works for Alberta Health with his son, Johnny Erickson, who went on a football scholarship. And he's our building coordinator, but again, part of our association. And then we do have a few members who will be stepping away probably when we have our AGM in the fall, but we do have some more possible members lined up until I get a full commitment. I won't go into there yet, but again, they are community members. Yeah, we do have county reps and city reps. I mean, Sandy from the city is, at our board. Tim has been great to communicate, and we've communicated actively. And Bill, of course, as well. Yes, we don't forget Bill. So, again, Wolf Creek School Division, Sean Lockheed would be the rep from them to sit on our board. So, again, we try to pull in a diverse background. We actively try to have board members who are connected to our preferred users, of course. That's part of how I became part of the board. And then also just that track and field background and with the vision here, I thought this is something that I want to participate in. My children right now are young, but I see the value in it, and it's something that I think that can be great for them and great for other kids. And so that's why I continue to be on the board and go for renewals for my term, and they keep sucking me in the future. Thank you.
Any other questions before we move on?
Thanks again, but as a council, we're looking after the whole county taxpayers. And I think to redo the pricing structure so that all county taxpayers all get the same rate would be a lot more advantageous for us to sell to our ratepayers. That one gets more than the other one, quite. And I'm not sure what the whole tax or the whole price structure is exactly like. It should be the same right across the whole county. Everybody has the same access.
Did you just, just in relation to school usage, student usage?
Yeah. So if somebody from Capitol wants to rent it, the price should be exactly the same as somebody from in-house, or somebody from Alex, or somebody from drawn up with Christian school or anything like that. They're all rate taxpayers. They should all have equal use, equal right to use.
And I think in the school hours, that would be offered at no charge, the same as everybody else. But after that, they would have to be considered a preferred user, right? If they're going to be their association. So that way, would yes, after school hours, that would be offered to all school districts at the same time.
But the idea is, I mean, with the expansion of our facility, is that all students would have, through these school hours, be able to use this facility. So if Eckville, Bentley, Alex, or Lacombe Junior High Upper wanted to come use through the hours, we're not going to charge them.
Okay, any other questions? Mayor, proceed.
Thanks, Chair. Jay, congratulations on the latest build. Again, a terrific job. One thing I was curious about, excuse me, my voice is going today, but what has driven the desire for the running track? Is this based on survey data through Lacombe Parks and Recreation Board, or how did that come about?
So, probably 5 years ago, and from the Parks and Recreation surveys, so from the city of Lacombe, that was on that master list. And then with the community organizations that we met within that meeting, the idea of, again, overall facility expansion, again, with bathrooms, dressing rooms, and track and field, and we thought, okay, what needs to be tackled first? And that's why phase one, is completed where it's at. Now what is the next step for this facility? And our next step right now, we view, and based on where we feel that there could be a need fit, would be this, based on that information that we received from that meeting. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? We've got Jay on the hot seat here. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. Jay and Jason, thank you so much for your presentation. Also, thanks for all the work you've done here, but also the Energy Local for the support you've given. That company supports our community in such a meaningful way, and I'm just grateful to them for the support they've given you. So thank you so much for coming today to make this presentation. So the next step will be for the county and the city to approve a resolution that would accept this presentation for information. So I would entertain a motion for that to that effect. Dwayne, all in favor? Looks like that's carried.
Who would like to make a motion on this side? Councilor Ross? All those in favor? Thank you.
Have that passed. So just for the information of everyone here, some of you may know this and some may not, but I would like to just let you know what the next steps are. Following this meeting, the city and county councils will meet separately to discuss the request, either publicly or in camera. The chief administrative officer of each municipality will ensure that the CAO of the other municipality is advised of the date in which the respective councils will be meeting to discuss the request. No formal resolutions regarding the community group request should be made by either council at their respective meetings. So we're going to wait, we're going to discuss this, and we're going to come up with a strategy for each individual council. And then once the city and the county have deliberated separately, a second joint city and county public meeting will be held for the purpose of discussing the community group request and developing a recommendation on the request to be presented to the respective councils. Though ideally each council's decision on the recommendation should align with the others, the independent decision-making authority of each council must not be compromised. Although not concurrent, the decision of each council should be well informed by fulsome discussion with the other council. Are there any questions on how we are going to proceed? Okay, so thank you again. Appreciate you being here and for all the work you do. It's amazing.
Yes, thank you for your time, everybody. And fingers crossed, I'll reach out to Tim and Denise that we were successful in the CFEP grant. And hopefully we find out. But again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, so next on our agenda is the Lacombe Fish and Game Association, Lake Thompson Fish Pond Accessible Docks. And we have with us this morning Greg Lund, who is the Fish and Game President, Fred Pallister, who is the Vice President, and no stranger to this table is Jason Lund again. So thank you, Jason, for doing double duty today. I'll turn the time over to you to make your presentation.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it very much. My name is Brad Pallister. I'm Vice President of the Macomb Fish Game Association, and I'm speaking today because my kind of focus is pond development, and Greg is our president, and Jason is part of the, potentially part of the project that we are going to be pitching today through his role as founder of the Team Jigger Foundation. So we are going to talk a little bit about the 2 ponds that we have in town today, as well as a potential proposal for joint. So I just wanted to briefly talk about the vision of the existing executive of the Macomb Fish Game Association. It's a little bit more driven down than it used to be. We have, as a executive, decided to focus on accessible fishing solutions within the City of Lacombe and Lacombe County. Right now, there are 2 facilities that are actively managed by the Lacombe Fish and Game Association, the One Thompson Fishing Pond and the East Stormwater Pond. We also have a, not management arrangement, but a partnership with a county facility, a new facility called Boulder Lake, which we'll talk about soon. And our goal here is to upgrade these facilities and look at new accessible fishing opportunities. So those are kind of the main vision of our organization. I think it's important to highlight the stocking. So stocking comes from a variety of different locations. First and foremost, it comes from the Alberta Conservation Association, which is funded by corporate sponsors and primarily through hunting and fishing licenses. You'll notice that in 2019 we had, and obviously the Lacombe Fish and Game sponsors heavily into these trout stocking rounds as well. 2019 we had 2,750 total rainbow trout that were stocked in the pond. Our business is right across from the Len Thompson Pond, and we get lots of earfuls sometimes, both positive and negative. Fishing was not good in 2019. That was also a bird problem. We had a cormorant problem, which has been mitigated in 2020, as well as added numbers, 3,844 rainbows. Fishing was much better, even though usage was way up. The pandemic certainly reinvigorated people's passion for the outdoors, both existing and new. Alberta fishing license sales were up 30% last year, which is a lot. And in 2021, we had a very surprising year. The fish just kept coming. And hopefully that is partially due to lobbying. We definitely have some lobbying. It's also due, I know it's due to the City of Lacombe's contribution to the Alberta Conservation Association. That definitely gets noticed when the biologists make their contributions. And it also was noted that the usage was significantly up in the ponds since the world's largest lure was installed in 2019. The Alberta Conservation Association every 2 years puts trail cameras up and determines the active usage in their ponds that they stock, so that they can determine stocking ponds. So you'll notice 2021, 4,297 rainbow trout, and the exciting part of the year was 2,150 tiger trout, which are I need to highlight that this fish in particular, which is a cross between a brook trout and a brown trout, is very sought after and does bring people into the community. People travel to catch tiger trout. It's growing in popularity, but there's still not that many ponds that actually have tiger trout. Fishing was good this year. It was fun to go to the pond and see people catch fish. And that was more unusual in prior years. So what we're doing is working. This is a little video. I've been told that that it has been distributed to council. If you're interested, we can watch it. It's about 60 seconds long, and it shows the stocking process.
Riley Greenwood with Alberta Environment and Parks and the Cold Lake Fish Hatchery, and today we're at Len Thompson Park Pond, stocking 2,850 rainbow trout with an average size of 20 centimeters, and 1,150 tiger trout with an average size of 16.3 centimeters.
So that generally happens twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall. But this year it happened 4 times. And so that's exciting. The fish come from the Cold Lake Hatchery, but they are purchased by the Alberta Conservation Association. Next slide, please. This is East Stormwater Pond. So this is, for those of you that are unaware, is in the new east side recreation area in the city of Lacombe. And the facility's been around for 20 years, but it's had some issues in water quality and accessibility. Next slide, please. The stormwater pond stockings are, as you'll notice, were declining. That is because of water quality. So the water quality in East Stormwater was poor, the fish survivability was questionable, and something needed to be done in the facility. So we made a major upgrade this year. I'll note in 2021, only 500 were approved by ACA to be stocked early in the year, and that's not very many for a pond that size. So, next slide. Boulder Lake, this is 5 minutes west of Black Falls. It is a new accessible fishing opportunity in the county of Lacombe. It is an Alberta Conservation Association owned and managed facility. But the Lacombe Fishing Game volunteers install all the docks to help make it more accessible, and are helping in a variety of miscellaneous ways. The ACA has said that they want to manage the facility for 5 years, and thereafter they'll be looking for partners to do more active management. So it's a wonderful spot. If you've ever been, go see it. It's beautiful. It's an old reclaimed gravel pit. It's really nice. East Stormwater Pond improvements. So this year it was determined, last year it was determined that we needed to do something about East Stormwater. It's a wonderful facility. It's very nice. It's more tranquil, but it had some issues. Primarily water quality. So mechanical aeration was a must. We did install that late this fall, and within a week, direct oxygen, dissolved oxygen in the water had almost doubled from before. And it shows. I hadn't seen any fish jumping in there for years, and now you see them jumping. They're lethargic. They can't breathe very well. So the mechanical aeration was a huge positive. Walking bridge was a necessity. There is a stormwater intake culvert there that's about 8 feet wide. So we put in a bridge, and so you can walk around the perimeter of the pond now. And there is a floating dock as well as casting platforms, which if anybody knows a fishing pond and you have kids, that's where you go first. You go to the dock because that's where you catch all the fish. So it also keeps you off the muddy water, the muddy side water of the pond. This is a good view of the pond after its upgrade. You see the bridge there over top of the culvert. In the distance, you see the floating dock, and you can sort of see the casting platforms. They're basically 4x8 sections of wood. They just get you off the shore. Len Thompson Pond. So here is a nice view of the world's largest lure, as well as our main dock, as well as the casting platform you can see on the left. Next, please. As I said, fishing was good. Participation was high. The bird problem was far less than the year before. We also have a light on the lure now, so I'm not sure if any of you have come in and seen, but it's like a Christmas tree now. It's really nice. And I was always worried that somebody was going to spray paint it, and I'm really happy that it's lit up now, so any riffraff doesn't take a little bad. And people are visiting the world's largest lure. So we have 100,000 views per location on Google since its installation. It's probably more than that now. And so those are people who are typing in world's largest lure to travel. So arguably, you could say 100,000 people have been brought into the facility to Central Alberta because of that facility since June 2000. You'll see my daughter there. That was her first fish on the left. She's giving it a really strong hug. We had to have a discussion on fish handling. She did much better on her second fish. That was earlier this spring. Next slide, please. This demonstrates some of the social media aspect that we have. Just a mother and her daughter out. Next slide, please. This fellow needed to get out of the big city. I'm not sure which one, but they traveled to Lacombe. Next slide, please. These folks, lots of you in the county know Larry Reed. So this is Nick, his son, and their kids. They're in Summerland right now. We like that picture. In the background, you can see Paisley, I think, has got her fishing rod with the lure there. Slide, please. This is a 2.5 minute video on Lacombe County. This was developed. I'm not gonna do this one because it's a little bit longer. But you're welcome to, or unless you want to, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Sure. Yeah. It's 2.5 minutes. Yeah. It was developed by, and I'm not really sure who developed it or who prompted its making or any, I'm not sure where it came from. All I know is that one day it appeared. So I'm not sure if the Lacombe County Marketing or whatnot had sponsored this, but it's a video on the Lacombe County.
Hey guys, my name's Curtis and this is Justin.
This weekend we're touring Lacombe County, and this fishing book is going to guide us. Our first destination was the Blind Man Brewery, located right in Lacombe. We were toured through the facility, which was way bigger than we would have thought, and the care and detail that goes into the beers is somewhat astonishing. After learning the entire beer making process start to finish, we then got to enjoy the signature 5 of Diamonds brew on the patio and play some cornhole in the sun.
Next, we headed over to the world's largest fishing lure. The Len Thompson 5 of Diamonds fishing lure has been manufactured in Lacombe since 1929. So where else would you expect to find the world's largest fishing lure? With help from Len Thompson and the Lacombe Fishing Game, this Alberta city now has a monument that is recognized in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Our next visit was to Cilantro and Chive, which is a restaurant that thrives on local, seasonal ingredients and collaborates with local chefs. Everything we had was delicious, and we thought the menu was so creative. We can't wait to come back. I, of course, had to try a Caesar flight, and Curtis, what else than the 5 of Diamonds beer?
To finish off our 5 of Diamonds tour, we took a fishing charter around Gull Lake with adventure ice fishing. Not only is sunset our favorite time of day, but we were also able to catch and release about 7 fish. I caught about 2, while Bob, Chelsea's dad, was somehow able to catch 5. It must have been that lucky 5 of Diamonds fishing. We want to really thank Lacombe Regional Tourism for bringing us out for a weekend of summer fun. There was so much to do and see. More than just our 5 of Diamonds tour, there was also a honey farm where we got up and close with some honeybees and were even able to kiss some goats. We hiked around J.J. Collette at sunset, golfed at the Haunted Place Golf Course, which was our biggest surprise. The golf course was much more scenic than we had ever expected.
Lacombe County is so big, and it has so many unique towns, restaurants, views, and activities. and it's waiting for you to find your adventure.
So I guess it answered my question. I guess that was Lacombe Tourism that sponsored that. So, as you can see from the video though, a key focal point is the pond and is this 5 of Diamonds mantra that has been created amongst the city. Next slide, please. And the last one is a 22-second video. This is some TikTok personality. I don't do TikTok. I don't know what TikTok is, but it has garnered 1.1 million views. So we might as well watch it to see what all the hubbub's all about.
We're in Lacombe, Alberta today, home of the world's largest fishing lure, which I'm pretty sure is just meant for catching the world's largest fish. Only problem is, I think when they finished building this big 5 of Diamonds, they realized we ran out of metal for the playground. I mean, you're right, he's Leroy behind the camera, there's always something to do.
So, 1.1 million views, there you go. Next slide, please. So the key thing I want to highlight is there's more anglers. There's significantly more anglers fishing. It's easy to see whenever you go past the facility. There's almost always somebody fishing there. Next slide, please. Not necessary, but another. That's a nice picture of a tiger trout. Actually, that's a really good picture of a tiger trout. They're stunning fish. They're really good. Next slide, please. Families use this facility all the time. You see kids, and that's one of the beauties of accessible fishing opportunities. Is it's accessible. It's easy. You park the car, you walk a few hundred feet, and you go fishing. And that is a really attractive thing for new anglers, for young families, for anybody with accessibility issues. That's why we love accessible fishing opportunities. Kids Can Catch Day 2021. It was our first public event since 2019, and despite us only organizing it within a couple of weeks, we still had 300 people in attendance, and we were very excited about that. The prior one was coincidentally the launch of the world's largest lure, and we had approximately 800 to 900 people there. Approximately. Next slide. This is Kids Can Catch Day in 2019. A key fun part of the day is actually releasing the trout. So the Smoky Trout Farm comes and puts a bunch of fish into the buckets, and the kids go wander down to the shore and dump them in the water, and it's a key attracting part of the day. Next slide, please. And next slide, please. So how can we make Len Thompson Fishing Pond even better? As I've said before, it is an attraction to Lacombe County, Lacombe City of Lacombe, and it is a highlight of our communities. Next slide, please. You'll see in front of us our flagship dock, which was, I don't know, handmade 20 years ago. It needs to go. It is going. It is unstable. If you go to the next slide, it zooms in a little bit. I think it zooms in, maybe it doesn't. Okay, go back, put on your binoculars, and if you look right there in the middle, you'll see that 2 people that are on the dock are sitting with walkers. It is amazing that they got out there because you can't really get onto the dock anymore. And when we were out there, this is where kind of King Jigger Foundation came into the mix. In the province of Alberta, as of right now, there's one other dock that the Alberta Conservation knows about that is accessible in the whole province of Alberta. And by accessibility, it doesn't necessarily mean wheelchair guide. It doesn't necessarily mean walker. It can be anything.
Any
balance issues, yep.
someone that's had a stroke, young kids that have spinal or mobility issue. So it affects everyone from all ages.
So this was an inspiration once we were kind of having this discussion about what are we going to do about this facility. This needs to go. So what are we going to do? So we have three different options. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. We need a dock that's more accessible, that's larger, in part because it's so busy, less maintenance, safer, and as a bonus, potentially a landmark. Next slide, please. Option one. This is a floating dock in the city of Strathmore. It's relatively small, it's easy to install, it's with the same product that we've used in other floating docks, so we're very familiar with it. And this is an option that we could utilize to have an accessible fishing dock. Next slide, please. Option two. My family and I were at Carrierwood Nature Center in Red Deer. I don't know if anybody's visited, but there is a bird line that goes out into one of the sloughs where you can walk up a boardwalk, and then at the end of this boardwalk is a big bird line, and you can watch all the birds and whatnot. It's kind of part of the inspiration of this design. So we contacted Carrierwood Nature Center, found out who their contractor was to the project, and they provided us a sketch for option two, which is above, quite a bit larger, more stable, a lot safer, more accessible, and more of a landmark type of design. Next slide, please. You'll see it overlaying the existing dock there. So it's quite a bit bigger. Next slide, please. And option three is kind of the piggyback off of that design that just gives a bit more area for people to spread out. And farther out into the pond. I should, thank you. One of the key things about docks is not only the attraction just because it's something to go stand on, but it does have a functionality purpose to get closer to the deeper water. Deeper water is where the fish live. That's why docks are kind of a thing. Next slide, please. You can see there. We visited my father-in-law this summer and went to a fishing pond there. This is not a dock, but it kind of emulates, I just thought it was kind of a nice visual. It's a boardwalk, it's more like a big casting platform because it doesn't get you out that far, but it shows kind of the concept in general. Next slide, please. So now the costs. So option one, the floating dock, costs about $60,000 to $80,000, and that can be funded via Lacombe Fish and Game, Alberta Conservation Association, potentially Echo Fund, and potentially Team Julia Foundation. So with option one, we can self-fund this. I'm here to talk to you guys today about option two and option three. To really take it up a notch, to really grow on a facility that has become so important, not only to the local residents of Lacombe County and the city of Lacombe, but also to tourists. Lots of people come specifically to access this facility. Option two, that would be the smaller of the two options. The quote that we have received is $186,000 plus GST, which means we are $100,000 short. Option three, the sticker price is $247,000, which means we are $160,000 short. And I don't really have an ask today. I guess this is sort of a discussion, but it is also sort of we don't have a lot of time. And I'll talk about that in the next slide. Okay. So to build this, you need to build it in the winter, which kind of surprised me, but it makes sense. You go out on the ice when the ice is nice and solid, you drill the piles, you throw the piles in, and then they actually build it on the ice. It's 100 times more cost effective than piecing it together and craning it out. The contractor needs 1 month to prepare engineering and schedule. And the intention would be end of February-ish to put the piles in. That's when the ice is theoretically the thickest. About 1 month of construction time and ice off and ready for fishing. Next slide, please. So that is the suggestion. At this point, I don't have a specific ask because at the end of the day, we can do the floating dock. And in fact, we need to do something. Because the dock that is right now, I wish that one picture would show, because it zoomed in, it needs to be fixed. It needs to go. We have put as much TLC into it as we can. So I guess this presentation is really just an opportunity to have discussion and get better direction on which direction we want to go for our community. Lacombe Fishing Game is fully committed to doing the base option. But does the community, both the county and the city, want to do something more? Do we want to make it that much more impressive, that much more attractive, and that much more longer lasting? Because they will last, that last one will last easily 20 years. So, with that, I welcome questions.
Thank you, Chairperson. I guess first question is this wood or steel? And second question is how permanent are these boats? We're obviously in some very challenging, frustrating supply times that would affect these. And third comment is I would be specific on your ask. Right away, obviously we're in both administrations during budget, and your timeline is quite short. We're into December if you want to construct this process. Unfortunately, takes time, so I'd be more specific and contact administration, not to get it in on agendas, because this is already December. We only have one more meeting left in December, and the budget is in discussion. So I would strongly encourage you to get the process started.
Sure. So step one is the quote's current. It is made of wood with steel piles. And third is that this is part of the process. Definitely want it to be collaborative. Lacombe Fishing Game will put in a grant for a dock at January 22nd is when I need to put a grant in to the Alberta Conservation Association. So I will be making a decision on what route we're going by the 22nd of January, whether it is the floating dock or whether it is something bigger. I guess my ask is, we can't afford the more marquee two options. So certainly I feel that a benefit to the community is one of the two other marquee options would be a sincere long-term benefit to the city and the county. In terms of my ask, maybe it's, I don't know the budgets. I don't know what the political will is to kind of invest in something like this. Go big or go home? Yeah. Are we going big or are we going to the more floating option? And that's why I guess it's more of a collaborative ask, not a hard ask, I guess.
Scott?
Thank you. You mentioned that they have been monitoring numbers usage with trail cameras. Do you have any kind of recent numbers for here?
I do. I wish I would have brought them. It was significant. The stat that they use is man hours per hectare, and I will commit to emailing them out. But it was something like 300 to 1,400 between the two different. I'll absolutely email those out. Sure. Yeah.
Mayor Pearson?
Thanks, Chair. Along those same lines, given that there's 6,500 fishers were put in that pond last year. Is that normal for a pond this size?
No. No. So I've been told repeatedly, every time I talk to the biologist, she tells me that you're very unique. You shouldn't be getting this many fish. We should be seeing summer kills. We should be seeing winter kills. But I think that's attributed to how much use it's getting. And people harvest these fish, right? So it's not like there's 6,500 and they stay there. They are harvested. So gradually over the course of the year, they are taken out. But the average is about 350 fish per acre, and it's a 5-acre pond. So the math there shows that it's well used facility.
Thank you.
Scott?
Thank you. So I guess option one is floating dock. You have to remove that in the winter. No accessible use in the winter then?
There's no use to the ponds in the winter at all.
Right.
That's a liability issue. There is mechanical aeration, so if you'll notice they're fenced off with a snow fence.
Okay.
That's because when it's active mechanical aeration, there can be weak spots in the ice that you can't identify. So it would be only summer use.
Okay. And then I guess the follow-up, would there be improved access to the dock as well?
Yes, there would be. Yeah, there would be a trail. We have the right amount of grade to make a relatively easy trail down to the dock. That is well within the requirements for accessibility.
Great, thank you.
Chris, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I guess I was just curious how current that video was, because I was on Culture and Tourism when we leased it another ground the past year. That video made in 2021. Are you aware?
The Macomb County one?
Was it the current one? Thanks, Steve.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, but awesome, great, thank you. And I was on Culture and Tourism, so the very coordinator there. I was a grant funding that had created that video. But anyways, I think this is great. Both presentations today, I can't emphasize enough that being on Culture and Tourism is the groups and organizations that create the community that bring people to the county and to the city. So that's not the county, travel across the county, and I am strong support that these volunteers and these organizations be supported, because we wouldn't be where we're at. It makes our city of Macomb and the county of Macomb unique without volunteers. It's a struggle to get volunteers, but so when you get them and get a board that contributes to both the county and the city and the whole region, like, it's a huge asset. I get back to my home community in the Lincoln area. It's a battle to get people on boards and committees and volunteers. When you get good ones, that's an asset, and I think it's a really strong thing that needs to be supported.
Wayne?
Yeah, just a comment. I think Brad was a little bit modest on world record. It's actually a Guinness Book of World Records, right?
Yeah, we made the book. If you have, so generally, sorry, this is not anything to do with this, but if in order to get a world record, you have to apply. If you want a world record right then, you have to pay about 40,000 American to have them fly up and give you a certificate. So we didn't do that. We just sent $1,000 and to apply. And just because you get a world record does not mean you make a book. So we were at home a few weeks ago, and Hans over at Blind Man said, "Hey, look what my kid found." And he's opening up the world record book for 2022. You know what? And it doesn't matter. And there it was on page 99. And that's a big deal, because usually you have to pay significant dollars to actually get in the book. So that was a good day. That was a good day.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Are there any other questions? Wayne?
Yeah, so further to my point there, Fish and Game and the city of Macomb have put together a real drama card in the Thompson Pond. And so I think from a tourism standpoint, it was front and center on the regional tourism video. And the fact that you stated that there may be only in your mind in Alberta one accessible dock, on these type of facilities.
Yes.
I think this is a huge addition to an already huge drawing card to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I do want to thank you. I did have a picture up there, so it was kind of cool to be part of that fishing day with my grandkids. And I find that this is something that's really usable. When I go out of town, I always take 5 gallons of beer. And I know the beer isn't yours, but you certainly were part of that collaboration. And we took your books to, when we went to Quebec City, and to the book that your sister wrote about fishing, and just it's just something that we can use as counselors to promote our area, but it is just a really great facility. So thank you for that, and I certainly support what you're trying to do in terms of accessibility. Kudos to you. I like it. But as Chris said too, we do have budgets to deliberate, and it all has to fit in there, but I'm certainly a supporter. So thanks for your presentation.
Okay, so I think for clarification for you, at the council, we would ask you to put in a formal request or a grant application. Am I correct, Tim?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, so in order for us to actually consider your request, we do need to have an application. And I would encourage you to move ahead and go ahead with the application, because without that, it's pretty difficult for us to make a decision. Well, it is difficult. We won't make a decision without an application. Just for your information.
Sure.
Tim, is there anything we should add to that?
Don't just, we have your contact information. We can send you a link to our website that has the application form, as well as the policy that deals with these types of requests. So it's a very straightforward process.
Sure. Yep, I'm the grant guy too, so I'll manage it.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, well, thank you so much. Appreciate your presentation.
I do have a question.
Oh, okay.
Boulder Lake.
Yes.
So the ACA has it for 5 more years,
Yes.
and they're wanting you guys to take it over?
No, so I think yes, but no. They're going to be looking for partners. Whoever that partner is yet to be determined. It's a wheeled down property, from what I understand. So they want to have operational control over it for 5 years to make sure it achieves their vision, and then day-to-day maintenance and operations and stuff that they want to try to contract that out after 5 years, is how I understand it.
So you're not looking for anything for Boulder Lake?
Nope, zero for Boulder Lake. I know that, as a preview, I know that they're going to approach the county again. They would like to see about potential road. But again, that's probably through the grant process, I'm not sure. That's not really my thing, that's the ACA.
Sorry about that. That's okay. Okay, if there's no other questions then, I'd like to thank you. I think accessibility is so important. And Jason, thank you for being part of this team, because that's such an important aspect of anything we do these days.
Well, I think Jason was an inspiration too, honestly. Like because we were gonna throw another voting doc in, and that's easy. I mean, we were gonna do that. We weren't even gonna ask for permission. We're just gonna do it because it needs to be upgraded. And
It was actually one of our ambassadors, Colin Murphy, who took a picture of him not able to get down onto the dock.
yeah, so it was an easy project for us to buy into. Really easy.
Well, I really appreciate your coming here today. Thank you for all three of you. Honestly, to the honest, thank you for your commitment to our community. Without you guys, we'd be a little more worse off. So thank you so much for being here, and appreciate your presentation. So The next step then it would be for each council to accept the presentation for information. So, John? All in favor? That's unanimous.
For the same resolution, Councilor Connaught, all those in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
Okay, so thank you. I'd like to thank both councils for being here today. I love it when we can work together. And what a great way for us to learn about these two projects in front of, with each other, so that we know we all have the same information. Now we can go back and try to deliberate and make some good choices and decisions for our community. So thank you for being here, and thank you for letting us meet in this great group. So I would take a motion to adjourn. Ken, all in favor?